I want to start off asking about Cole. Obviously,
Yeah.
didn't see him last week, but is there a timeline for when you guys might get him back on the field?
Yeah, we didn't really put a hard timeline on it. I think it's more just how, recovering from the injury, getting him back acclimated. I mean, to do that without a bunch of padded practices takes probably a little longer than might otherwise. But he's doing a good job, and he's definitely getting better. You're seeing improvement.
Drake said he's taken some snaps from him at center. Just what have you seen from him at that position? Because that's kind of new to him.
He's been playing center the whole time since he's been back, and he's done a good job. And he's learning it. It's new for him, but he's picking it up pretty quickly. I think he's done a pretty good job, so far.
How realistic is it? He doesn't have like training camp and stuff like that to practice center. He's never played that in the NFL. So, how realistic would it be to put him in a regular season game at this point?
I mean, we had Ben Brown show up from from another team, and he went in. No, I mean, really, you want to have the operation down. I think for Ben, for Cole, just the level of comfort and getting him. I mean, he's knows the system. I think the fundamental techniques are getting closer. I think for him, it's more, just kind of feeling confident and giving the green light.
What about Cole's skill set makes him a good fit at center?
Yeah, he's quick. He's strong. He's athletic. He can pull. A smart guy. He can run the show there. I think it's for him. He has all the attributes you want. I think it's just kind of now refining and getting him more comfortable. He played center. I think he played a little bit in college, but I think he mostly played guard. But he did play in the Senior Bowl, and I thought he looked pretty good there. So I think it's a good fit for him.
As far as Cole playing center this season, would you guys consult Drake and see his preferences and things like that in that situation?
Well, you want your center and quarterback to have good rapport. But like I said with Ben, it was like, hey, here's your center. So, no, definitely. But I think at this point, it's really just a function of, Cole getting up to speed in terms of like where he is at from a physically, and then also from a technical end.
How have you seen the kind of like that chemistry between Drake and Cole grow since Cole's returned?
I'm not sure I can answer that for you. I think that the guys all have rapport. They know each other well. I think it's just, I think when you're taking snaps from a different person, you got to get repetition. So there haven't been any issues there.
With Caden, how close do you feel like he is to getting back?
He's looking better too. I think you spend quite a bit of time off. You get injured and your body's has to get back. You kind of harden your body a little bit, but he's been incrementally taking more reps, so he's looking better and better.
What have you seen from Layden since he got back into the lineup?
Layden's doing good. It's a long rookie season for rookies in general, and it probably even feels longer here this season. Given the way things have gone for us. But Layden's been doing good. I mean, he's still attentive. He's focused, and get a good physical play nature. He's a physical guy, so he's doing a good job there. Just trying to get him, his details ironed out as he gets better.
With Vidarian, it seemed like he had some issues against the Cardinals. What do you think led to some of those?
It's a couple things. I mean, one, and I don't want to use this as an excuse, but he's been injured. So, we know that. And, but I think for some of the things that went on, it's just getting back to fundamental techniques. And we didn't execute a couple of things that were really key blocks that got isolated. And, he's fully aware that he made those mistakes and those mistakes hurt us. The focus and the refocus has been, we got to get back to the fundamentals. And, unfortunately, you can't, nobody cares. There's no asterisk next to your name if you're injured. You have to produce, you have to perform in order to be able to, put us in the best positions and in order for him to have a spot on the field.
How much of a factor, if at all, the Cardinals, they run a bunch of different fronts and they kind of mix it up front. Was that a big factor in the game, would you say?
I didn't think it was. I mean, we had a good plan for it. I think the guys did a really nice job with it. They were able to, they can confuse a lot of groups, and they didn't really confuse any of our guys. I don't think we had pretty, our mental errors have gone down, knock on wood. I mean, the guys are, because we have had obviously a hodgepodge of guys in there throughout the season, but I thought they did a good job. They followed the rules and did, for the most part, what they were supposed to do. They didn't always execute well. That was the issue.
This one's a little bit random, but when it comes to arm length at the offensive tackle spot, people always talk about like 33 inches is the cutoff. For you, is there a specific kind of metric where you're saying this is kind of where we'd like guys to be, or are you a little more flexible?
Well, it's a combination of things. I think if you got to look at a lot of factors. Arm length is great. You definitely want to. If you can touch a guy from a distance, it's always helpful. Like boxers want to touch from a distance. But if you don't have the length, then you got to have the feet, and you got to and you should, ideally you have both. But So I think generally, when you look at the position for a guy at tackle, I would agree, like 33 is probably the cutoff point, but there's guys that can operate at under that, but now they got to have exceptional feet and redirect.
And how does the footwork help make up for that?
Well, if you're longer, obviously for an inside move, if I can touch you longer, it mitigates some of the movement, because obviously you're going against speed rushers that will attack your inside. And if you can touch them at length, you got all the more distance with your arm than you wouldn't have with the arm. You got to compensate for your feet, if that makes sense.
Absolutely.
So would you say, just back to the 33-inch thing, like that's not a deal breaker for you guys with tackles necessarily?
There's no, it's not a deal breaker, but it's more just like an ideal. You look at those things and you say, well, generally, given the speed, given some of the issues that you face with some of these rushers, it's always beneficial to have guys that can. We make a premium and a focus on playing long, using your hands, using length to try to attack them, as opposed to like letting them get into your body. So for sure.
As far as this weekend goes, Matt Milano being back for them, how aware do the guys up front have to be of him at all times?
I'm sorry. Could you?
Matt Milano being back.
Oh
for
yeah.
this- for-
I mean, we're aware of everybody. They have there's, you can go down the lineup and say they're all good. So we're certainly aware of Matt and the other, everyone on their defensive front.
With Ben Brown, we saw a couple bad snaps against the Cardinals. What do you think led to those?
So that was disappointing, and we got, there was a towel that we was wearing, and a lot of times I'm like, I don't care what your issue is, there is no excuse for a bad snap. He had a towel tucked in his pants, like literally in his undercarriage, that was hitting the ball. The ball was hitting it, and I'm like, get it out of there. I'm like, so we pulled the towel out of there, right? But the issue is, I'm like, we're in the desert. Why do you have a towel?
Right.
Well, the issue is he was sweating profusely. So, and it was kind of like Drake wanted to make sure, hey, you don't want the ball wet.
Yep.
So when he's under center, that was the purpose of the towel. But the towel was literally down, and the ball was hitting the towel because he had bulk in his pants. So
So he
that's
got
a new
rid of-
one. But we definitely, what's that?
He did get
We,
rid of the
we
towel?
removed the towel,
Okay.
and then we didn't have an issue.
I don't think sweating's gonna be an issue this weekend.
No, I don't think so. Probably not.
Is that something that happens at training camp too?
With a towel?
Yeah.
I've never seen the towel like that. I've never seen that. Yeah, sometimes the towel can get in the way. It can be an obstruction, but really more so hanging down.
Yeah.
Because I was looking at it, I'm like, well, where's the towel? I don't see it. And it was basically fell down his pants. So that was the issue there. So.
With Cole, would you consider working him back in as like a sixth offensive lineman, or do you just want him to focus on playing center?
Right now, we're focused him on center. He's focused on center because you want to you make a position move. You want to kind of really dig in there. But he's obviously had plenty of exposure at guard. But obviously, if you're active and you are playing, then at some point you're expected to you have to swing, so you have to play or flex different positions for sure.
With Caden, is he focusing right now on right tackle, one specific position, moving around, or how are you guys using him?
Well, that'll be the same for Caden, but right now, again, because we're bringing him back, let's get him comfortable at right, and we'll continue to integrate him at both.
Mike and Woody mentioned that he's getting more comfortable now that he's been at right guard for a few weeks. I'm curious, how have you seen that comfortability translate in his play?
It has, and I got to say, a lot of credit to Mike for he's been moved around, so getting him, again, the continuity is a big factor, and then I think for him, he's played a long time, and so having had, I had a good discussion with him last week about it. It's like consistency with technique, and so we've asked him to do new things that he hasn't done in the past, and he's starting. Those things are really starting to kind of show up. So I'm proud of the way he's addressed that, and I think hopefully he'll continue to grow.
Scott, as an offensive staff and just roster, as you guys chase better results next season, what, in your opinion, about your process, either practicing or meeting or preparing, needs to change ahead of next season that you could seek and find better results next season?
I got to be honest. We're really just looking at Buffalo right now. We want to get out there. They got a good team, so we're trying to do all we can for that to prepare for this game and have a good result with it.
Thanks, man.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Merry Christmas.
Yeah, Merry Christmas. Merry Christmas.
You too.
Thanks, guys.
Frustration. I feel like they are. It's a really good group, and they're receptive to the things that we're giving them. There's a level of experience that all guys want to get to, but I mean, when I come in each day, I'm happy to work with everybody. I feel good when I'm around the guys. There's no. I would say nothing where I'm concerned, heavily concerned about an attitude or someone's effort or anything like that. I don't have any of those worries each day. I feel good about my guys and just continuing to try to ascend every day.
That sounds good.
Yeah.
All right, appreciate it.
Yep.
Thanks for the time.
Yep.
Thanks for your time. I'll see you.
Yeah.
And you know, part of that is some of those clips, he has the ball in his arm, so he feels the only thing I can do is here. As his initial burst, 0 to 10 yards, is probably the fastest we have in the room.
That shows.
And it
Yeah,
shows,
it shows.
you know, and it does show. And again, that's why, like, you look at some of the running backs around the league, there's the best teams have two of them. You know what I mean? Whether it's Jameer Gibson and Montgomery. And so they can't be the same trait. And AG does have that quick 10-yard, he can get there fast. So the runs hit different. When you run wide zone, how fast the back's going, how it feels to defense affects how they're going to defend everything. So he's been able to get the edge on some of these. Some of it is that kind of shock factor. You know, I think when he puts his foot in the ground and goes, guys are kind of a second late to realize, oh, he's moving. And then some of it's the mindset. You know, there's a few runs he had early on in the year where he was hesitant to hit it, or he bounced outside when he should have went inside. And he's taking it upon himself to, you know, I'm going to get the ball and I'm going to run hard, I'm going to run fast. He's a big dude, and that's where it's starting to show up.
Yeah, you know, for a former receiver,
Yeah.
he breaks more tackles. Well, he breaks more tackles than you think he would. He runs a little bit more physically than I sort of expected.
Yeah.
My,
And you know what's wild is it really has been since he's came in the league. I've always watched some of the stuff he's done from afar, and some guys just have that ability to just run hard and run through things. He's a big guy, you know, and he's got the confidence too.
Now, one other question I wanted to ask you, and I'm not really sure, like, earlier in the year he was pretty productive, and then when Embree went out, his role sort of increased. It seemed like his production decreased. Is he one of those guys that may be a little bit more effective?
I think that's more just the timing of things. Again, I think he realized during that lull, I got to lock in, I got to buckle down. I got to, whatever I'm doing, I got to do extra. And I think I don't think it was necessarily Embree being out, him being in, especially with the way we kind of rotate guys. But I think he just needed to reset, focus, get his focus right, and he did it, and it's going to pay off big for him the rest of his career. You know, it's something he'll remember.
The last thing I'll ask you, I'll let Mike pepper you a little bit. A lot of feedback we get from fans, people wondering why he isn't more of a presence in the passing game. Is that something you guys have tried to incorporate a little bit?
Yeah, I mean, we have, you know, some of it is just you got Dre, you got the tight ends, you know, you got other guys you're trying to get the ball to, and also I'm trying to figure out how we can get more runs, really, at this point. But I think as the offense develops and as it grows, we'll get the running backs involved more in the pass game. That's definitely something I'd love to do. But, you know, right now we're just focused on the run game, getting the runs that we get, trying to get some more runs, and doing it in that phase.
I appreciate it.
Yep.
Thanks.
Thank you.
Are you? No, I'm good. I'm going to bounce.
On now.
You got the stiff arm.
Yeah.
How does PFF help you with the clips?
Oh, they break down all the runs, and season I'm just pulling everyone's stuff.
Wow.
You know, so it's good stuff.
All right. Well, thanks again.
Yep.
And listen,
Merry Christmas to you
Merry
too.
Christmas. Definitely.